when we look at the man standing across from him, TJ Dillashaw, I think it's fair to say a veteran in the game. I think he's just turned 36 this year. Obviously, former champion and kind of on this return tour after the PED suspension. When you look at TJ as an upcoming style matchup, what aspects of his game are you kind of concerned about, or are you game planning to nullify?
It's not necessarily a concern, more as just the fact of a respect of his game. Like, I don't think there's too many people that really revolutionized stance switch striking. Is very cerebral out of both stances, but has an offensive game. Dominic Cruz comes to mind, but I think Dominic can be repetitive in some of his stuff, whereas TJ has a lot of different routes, if you will.
Yeah.
And I'm obviously a Dwayne Ludwig guy. My lineage is through Dwayne, so he's my coach. And so it's nice kind of getting matched up against the guy who I consider one of the best coaching minds in the game. But it's also nice not having to stand across from him in the fight as well. So all in all, I think TJ brings a full MMA skill set from the feet to the floor, where he's very dynamic in all areas. So I think it's a great matchup, to be quite honest with you.
Of course. I do want to something you brought up there, the kind of comparison in footwork between Cruz and Dillashaw. Now, I know what you're kind of saying about how Cruz's footwork can be repetitive, but in some ways, I think Dillashaw's footwork can be repetitive. So, what is the kind of key differentiator between those two styles of footwork, in your opinion?
Well, I think when you change stances a lot, your defense suffers. I think guys like to switch stances because of what offense it brings out for them. But you get into a focus of purely offense, where for me as a coach, if you're switching stances but your defense suffers, then you shouldn't be switching stances, because you're going to get your ass knocked out. Where I feel like, to me, TJ really does well in his stance switch because his defensive soundness remains the same out of both orthodox and southpaw.
Yeah, 100%. This is a difficult question to ask a coach, so I completely respect the answer that you get back. But there's been a lot of controversy around TJ Dillashaw, particularly the suspension. Where do you stand on drug offences in combat sports? Are you someone who thinks once you've served your time, it's a clean slate, or are you someone who maybe holds that grudge that once a cheater, always a cheater mindset?
That's a great question, Mike. And honest to God, man, this is my true answer is, I don't care at that point, because for me, it's the guy that's in front of us, and I have to game plan against him,
Okay.
the athlete. I know it sounds kind of weird to say, so I have my coaching side of things and I have my personal side of things, right? My coaching side of things will eliminate a lot of the personal side. I don't want to bring personal issues into a fight. I want to bring analytics and this is what I feel will win us the fight, no matter who and what this person represents. So I think that eliminating the emotional side of things makes it kind of like more robotic, if you will. But that's, to me, is where I stand on a lot of those things, where yeah, he served his time, but I think you're always going to associate with him for being a dirty fighter because of how long he might have been getting away with that stuff, right? That's the personal side of things. The coaching side of things sees a very dynamic, athletic TJ Dillashaw who's dangerous in all areas of the game. And we have to game plan for that fighter, whether you feel this way about him or not, it doesn't matter. He's going to be standing in front of my guy October 22nd, and that's what I have to deal with.
Yeah, 100%. And I do appreciate your answer there, because I realize that's a difficult question to ask.
For sure. And that's the honest to God truth, man.
Yeah.
It's like, man, I've been around this sport for 15 years now. You got to think there was a lot of dudes doing a lot of shit early on in this
I can
career,
well imagine. One thing that's so interesting about the bantamweight division in the UFC is, okay, Aljamain Sterling's the champ, TJ Dillashaw is the challenger at this present moment, but there's nothing conclusive to say that TJ is the second best bantamweight in the world. A lot of people could go a lot of different ways on that answer. So I guess if we're looking at your guy Aljo, who do you think would be the toughest fight for him in the bantamweight division?
I still think it's Piotr Jan. I think it's 1A, and I think Piotr Jan is 1B in this division right now. I really do. I think Marab is right there too. He's climbing those rankings. I think Cheeto Vera's last outing was great. I think with I think Rob Font has had a little bit of a lull, but I think Rob Font's skills and talent and his pedigree and his coaching staff is going to get him right back up there. Also, I think Sugar Sean O'Malley is sitting right there and can kind of tip the apple cart, if you will, and make this whole upset happen in Abu Dhabi. He's right there as well. So you can kind of go on in this division, man, and it really is. And then you got yourself Corey Sandhagen, who looked great in his last fight, also. So there's a lot of guys that are putting their name in the hat. I definitely feel like Piotr Jan, just knowing that the nightmares that dude gave us forever. And I worked with Piotr Jan when he came out to Vegas. This was about 3 or 4 years ago. So I really, really enjoyed being able to hold pads for him years back, and I learned a lot from him in that time. And you got to remember, we don't speak the same language. We speak the language of MMA. So holding pads for him was a lot of fun for me, and learning movements and patterns that he did. So I have the utmost respect for Jan. I really do, man. I think he's a magnificent fighter, and I think he's right there.
Make sure to subscribe to the LowKick MMA YouTube channel for all the latest news, event previews, and interviews with some of the biggest stars in MMA.